Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Raise the Vibe with Liz. I'm your host, Liz Peterson, and today I am interviewing Jamie Lee Silver. For those of you who aren't familiar with Jamie, Jamie is the creator of the Silver Lining System, where she offers clinical EFT tapping and matrix energetic sessions to people suffering from all kinds of loss. She discovered EFT shortly before her son tragically took his life at the age of 22. To Jamie, grieving her son felt like standing at the top of a vortex that she could very easily fall down and never emerge from. Tapping saved her life, and she is now committed to helping as many grievers out of the vortex as possible so they can move from pain to purpose. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Liz. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm glad you're joining me to talk about this important topic about loss. But I do want to prompt you to, even though it sums it up beautifully in your bio, what led you to be doing the work that you're doing today?
Thank you for asking. The very first time I ever tapped was in 2012. And as some of you who know who tap, and those of you who don't, the phrase that you say is, even though I feel, and you name the emotion. And once you've done it for a while or been uh, trained, you feel it in your body. And even though I feel this emotion of grief and I feel it in my heart, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And the very first time I did it, Liz, when I said I deeply and completely love and accept myself, I was weeping. And, all my life I've heard from Louise Hay, from everybody else whom I love, of course, uh, the secret to being happy is in loving yourself. And all my life I thought, gee, that's a great idea. How do I do that? And when I tapped and cried at I love and accept myself, I thought maybe this is the modality that's going to take me from intellectually wanting to love myself and the actual experience of it. And it was a very good thing that I started tapping then because I was about to launch into 2.5 years of watching my son mentally. Um, he got schizophrenia. He was a runner. He was a star runner. Here he is. That's Ben. He was a delightful human being, but he got very, very disappointed by earning his way to a full scholarship in college and never being able to run again. He was injured. And here he was, the self proclaimed shortest boy on campus, who had to hang out with the team all the time, who was getting a free ride scholarship, and he couldn't run. And if that's not a recipe for severe emotional distress, I just don't know what is. And the sophomore year in his second semester, he started having these catatonic breakdowns and lost his scholarship, came home, and then his dad and I just fought every possible way we could to keep him alive. But he was really convinced that it was going to end for him and it was not going to end well, and that there would be a lot of pain and suffering because they were after him. And in the end, when he gained his freedom, me being an empath my whole life and a certified energy healer trained in Sedona, really knowing what was happening inside my son's life and all the prayers and chanting I'd put into him. When he freed himself of this earthly body, I could feel in that moment his relief.
Hmm.
And his relief went along with my guttural primal scream. Just like, this could not be true. And just like anyone who has lost their person, their scream is like immediately upon waking up in the morning, this no.
No.
And as a practicing Buddhist for so many years, turning poison into medicine, I said, I am going to turn even this from poison into medicine. And the fact that I went through it all as a human, with my human emotions, my human agony, suffering from the what ifs, the wish I hads, and the if onlys. I was able to free myself through EFT tapping from the if onlys, the wish I hads, and the regrets. Like, I was supposed to keep my son alive, right? How could I have been that mother that couldn't? And any mothers out there who are listening to me, and fathers too, I really want you to know that I released myself from this suffering, and we each deserve to release ourselves from this suffering so that we can live lives of meaning. And I also began writing to Ben. And we, every time, and when it's the right time, I would be happy to read to you our first exchange of when he wrote back to me through my hand. Some call it automatic writing. It's something I also teach as part of my silver lining system, if people want to learn it.
Awesome. We'll definitely get to that towards the end of the show. So everybody, be looking forward to that. I want to hone in on your outlook and how you overcame this tragic experience. Could you talk into that for us, Jamie?
Yeah. Um, Thank you for asking. I it, I've been a practicing Buddhist since 1985. And one of the things that goes along with that is this primary belief of turning poison into medicine. And that is exactly how I've lived my life. The name Silver Lining for my system, yes, my last name is Silver, but it is also based in my ability to mine for the gems in every situation. So my attitude when my son died, and I wrote this into my blog post in Chant for Happiness just a few days after he died, that this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I am going to turn this around to be a healing force for myself and for others, which is always right there in my heart. And that's why we're talking together, Liz, because I know you have that same heart as well.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. So share with our listeners, share with me, what was that process like for you, turning poison into medicine? And what does that look like today?
Well, part of it was using EFT tapping for accepting what is. We live in an emotion phobic society.
No, we didn't.
And yeah, we do, don't we?
Yes.
We live in an emotion phobic society. And what EFT tapping helps you do is to just be able to own that emotion in a way that can help you then release it. Raising the vibe is what it's all about. But we can't raise the vibe if our emotion is like we just say, I'm going to put it into this balloon, and I'm going to put this balloon into the water because I don't want to feel this emotion. It's not good to feel this emotion. I'm a bad person if I feel this emotion. And all those layers that we put on ourselves about feeling that emotion, where what EFT tapping says is, yes, I feel it. It's okay, I feel it. Here's where I feel it and why. And you do a round of tapping, and then it starts going down, that intensity, and the intensity keeps going down, keeps going down. And what you're left with is the ability to think more clearly, make better decisions, love yourself more, be more in the moment, because it is so beautiful when you're in the moment. But when grief has got you around the neck and it's just pulling you back into the what ifs, if I onlys, and all those sad, sad feelings, you can't allow yourself to be in the moment. And there is a time and place for those sad feelings, which is why, I mean, mourning is important in doses, which is why part of what I offer to the people who work with me are soundtracks for different parts of the grief journey. Like there's a soundtrack for when you just want to just let it out. And there's a soundtrack when you want to just celebrate and dance, and some in between.
Oh, I love that. For listeners who aren't familiar with EFT tapping, describe what EFT is, what it's like, and how it's, you've gained skills from it after your loss.
I'm so glad you asked. Thank you. Emotional freedom techniques. EFT tapping is a branch of energy psychology that isn't, it's not just talk. There's talk involved, but it is the release, the identifying. Well, let me just say, when I first started EFT and learned that emotions live in my body and they actually exist in ways that I could feel them, that was a revelation to me. I knew I had emotions, but I didn't realize that I could find where they lived in my body and find a way to uplift them out of my body. And part of what I do is I teach people how to do it. But what EFT is the gentle tapping on prescribed places in your body, starting with the side of your hand and starting with what we call a reversal. And that is, even though I feel this way, this sadness, and I feel it in my lungs, just thinking about a specific incident, I deeply and completely accept myself. Or if you can't say that, saying, I'm willing to try tapping and see if it works. Or I'm going to give myself some compassion in this moment. And then you tap this feeling, this sadness in my lungs, this sadness in my lungs, this sadness in my lungs. And as you are tapping, this sadness is lifting. And we know that because before we do a tapping round, we ask on a level of 1 to 10, how intense is this feeling? And as we work together via Zoom or in person, after each tapping sequence, people are like, oh, it's going down. It's an 8. Then it's a 5, and then it's a 3. And it's so wonderful to be a part of because you gain access to releasing emotions in a really new and beautiful, wonderful way.
Thank you for describing that. So EFT tapping, and you're starting with, that karate chop on the side of your hand and you're tapping. Explain to people what these points that tapping taps on, what it does to the body, how it engages the body.
I explain it in a couple of ways. I explain it, first of all, it's a blending of Eastern and Western philosophy. And you can say it's like acupuncture for your emotions, but it's actually acupressure because all you're doing is gently touching your body. And these spaces where you touch, top of the head, eyebrow point, side of the eye, under the nose, under the lip, collarbone, and I use inside the wrist. Each of these points sends calming signals to your body so it can get out of fight or flight or freeze and begin to relax. And as these signals go through your nervous system, go through your body, a sense of calm becomes part of you. And as I mentioned earlier, your blood returns to your frontal cortex so you can have insights and begin to think more clearly and free yourself from whatever took hold of you in that emotion.
Thank you. Let's get into it a little bit, this EFT, this tapping, and give a situation. So after loss, I know for me, and I've spoken to others who experience the same thing, we wake up with it immediately upon opening our eyes. So, how do we use this technique to be able to walk ourselves through that initial phase of grief where we're just waking up? And still sometimes to this day, I went through a loss 6 years ago, and a couple years ago, lost my mother, as my listeners know. And so, even to this day, like especially if I've had a dream about her or something like that, I wake up with it. So talk with our listeners. Let's talk about how we can use this technique to help us when we're having those moments where, whether it be right after a loss where we're waking up with it or, years later.
It's all about acceptance. It's all about that first phrase. That's where it starts. And the allowing of yourself to feel that emotion, knowing that when you feel that emotion and you tap on it, that you're in the process of releasing it. So what I actually, everyone who sends me an email, I'm going to send this to you written, or you have access to it written, but I have a 3-minute miracle tapping sequence, and here's how it goes. And what you do is tap on the side of your hand. And this, I'm going to go back to waking up in the morning, and it's like a heavy weight upon you, or a scream, or oh God, another day without them. I sleep on my side, and I don't like to tap lying down, so I just press. I press right here
You're
on the
pressing on your
inside
wrist. For those of
of
you
my
who can't
wrist
see, Jamie's pressing on her wrist.
with my fingers, my first 3 fingers, and I'm pressing. And the message that I'm giving myself is, even though I feel these intense emotions, it's okay. It's okay to feel them. I'm allowing this moment. And as I am doing this, these emotions are lifting. That's the message, but you can shorten it, make it more simple. Even though I feel the way I feel, it's okay to feel the way I feel. And do that for a few moments, even though I feel this way. It's okay to feel this way. It's okay if you need to cry right then. It's okay to feel it. And as you send this signal through your fingers and through your wrist, lying there, and it might not happen immediately, but it will happen in a few moments. So don't give up on it going, oh, I thought it was going to happen the very first time I did it. No, do it a few times. And then you'll feel it lifting.
Thank you. And let's walk through some EFT. And for those watching on Zoom, you'll be able to see it. But for those, listening via the podcast, try your best to follow along. And if anybody is driving right now or operating machinery, please stop. Like, pause it, come back to it when you're home, or rewind it, and listen to this later. Can you run us through a tapping session, Jamie?
Sure, sure. Would you like to tap on something?
Sure, tap on. Let's, because a lot of people have experienced a lot of loss over the last, several years, last 4 years.
Well,
So let's tap around loss.
well, the secret to tapping is in being specific. So, and that's how I was trained. I went to EFT Tapping Training Institute, who I deeply, deeply respect. And would you like to be an example of me, or do you want me to tap on myself going through an emotion?
How about we pick a universal? We've experienced a loss, we're feeling grief in the moment, and let's tap on that.
Okay. First of all, I would say take some deep breaths and ground yourself. Either feet on the floor or just imagining that you're a beautiful tree and you have roots. Your body has roots going down into the ground. And that those roots going down into the ground are pulling back energy into yourself of being grounded and centered. Take a few deep breaths. And for a moment, just feel where you might feel this grief. And I, I'll give you an example when we're done. So, right now, I am feeling it in my lungs. And this is a perfect example to use because many of us experience constricted breathing,
Mhm.
especially with great loss. And this constricted breathing, our lungs are where we hold sorrow, where we hold grief. So, right now, to give yourself a gauge, give yourself a number between 1 and 100 of what percentage you're breathing right now and filling your lungs. And it can be all over the map. Like one person could feel 35%, another could feel 50%. Just choose whatever number comes to your mind. Do you have a number in mind, Liz?
As I feel into my lungs, I definitely, was feeling lungs, heart before you even mentioned it, really feeling some pressure, tapping into the grief, that's still residing there. And of course, we all have grief. It's, something that's lifelong, I believe, from different circumstances. I would say my capacity, if you're asking what is the capacity of my lungs right now, I would say about 80%, but I can definitely feel as I tap into, okay, how are my lungs feeling right now? What's my heart feeling right now? What's my grief number? Definitely feeling a little weighty, a little heavy, and a little hard to breathe.
Okay. And if you were going to give that sensation a number between 0 and 10, that weighty, hard to breathe sensation.
I'd say a 5.
Okay.
Mhm.
So let's tap together. And everyone who's listening, tap along with us using our words. And you will get what we call shared benefits of being in this energetic space with us.
Yes.
So even though I feel this constricted breathing
Even though I feel this constricted breathing
and this heaviness in my heart and lungs,
and this heaviness in my heart and lungs,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
and honor myself for going through this process.
And honor myself for going through this process.
Even though I feel this constricted breathing
Even though I feel this constricted breathing
and heaviness in my heart and
and
lungs,
heaviness in my heart and lungs,
I deeply and completely accept myself
I deeply and completely accept myself
and all my feelings.
and all of my feelings.
And even though I feel this constricted breathing
And even though I feel this constricted breathing
and heaviness in my heart and
and
lungs,
heaviness in my heart and lungs,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself,
honor and respect myself
honor and respect myself
as I go through this grieving process.
as I go through this grieving process.
Then take your two hands, tap on the top of your head gently, and say, "This constricted breathing,
This constricted breathing,
this heaviness in my heart and
this
lungs."
heaviness in my heart and lungs,
Then eyebrow point right above your eyebrows, close in. I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
This constricted breathing,
This constricted breathing,
this heaviness in my heart and
heaviness in
lungs.
my heart and lungs.
And now on the side of your eyes where your temples are, tapping and saying, this constricted breathing,
This constricted breathing,
this heaviness in my heart and
heaviness in
lungs.
my heart and lungs.
Underneath your eyes and right up underneath your eyes, way up high, underneath your pupils. This constricted breathing,
This constricted breathing,
this heaviness in my heart and lungs.
heaviness in my heart and lungs.
Underneath your nose, this constricted breathing,
This constricted breathing,
this heaviness in my heart and lungs.
heaviness in my heart and lungs.
I'm ready to let go of this now.
Ready to let go of this now.
Underneath your bottom lip in the cleft of your chin, this constricted breathing,
This constricted breathing,
this heaviness in my heart and lungs.
heaviness in my heart and lungs.
And now your collarbone with two hands either side of your collarbone, this constricted breathing,
This constricted breathing,
this heaviness in my heart and lungs.
heaviness in my heart and lungs.
Ready to let go of this now.
Ready to let go of this now.
And now inside your wrist with your opposite hand, this constricted breathing,
This constricted breathing,
this heaviness in my heart and lungs.
heaviness in my heart and lungs.
Ready to feel lighter,
Ready to feel lighter.
ready to feel lighter.
Ready to feel lighter.
And now give yourself a loving stretch.
Ugh,
Mm.
that feels good. I
Yes.
already feel the relief in my heart and chest,
Yes.
probably about a 1 now.
Yeah. And you can give yourself a hug and do some havening, which is you bringing your hands down, your arms to your fingers, and then please take a sip of water. Water is part of the tapping process.
And I love it that when I was tapping into you, Jamie, as I was telling you before the show, like I was sensing water, like I wanted to drink water. I wanted to feed my body water. And then before you said you lived around water, I think that's fantastic that you brought the water in. Yes,
Mhm.
I was getting really thirsty while we were doing that and wishing, gosh, I wish I had one of my hands to be able to get a drink of water right now. or my tea.
Yeah. We do it after every round. And look at how your background looks like it's sky watercolors in my background,
I know,
sky
I'm digging that too.
watercolors.
And I
Yeah,
also,
yeah,
kind of want to bring in, before the show, you mentioned Ben is here, and I want to
yes.
validate that. Like he's here, small stature, young man. And my mom, like she's been around this
And your
morning, so I'm thinking
mom.
about her. And so that's really fun, to have them join us as
Tell
well.
me something about your mom.
Oh, thank you for leading us through this. Oh, she was beautiful, loved to laugh and loved to dance. And I just love it when she dream visits me and I'm able to like snap myself out of it in the dream and become lucid and be like, hey, your mom is here. Like, wake up and talk to her. So, or in the
Yeah.
dream, so I can go lucid and, be able to visit with her for a while. You have a way, speaking of communication, that you communicate with your son, Ben. Can we jump into that a little
Oh,
while and
yes,
talk
yes,
about
yes, yes,
automatic
yes.
writing and how, and let us know, like, if we've lost somebody and we want to communicate, how can we bridge the veil to be able to communicate with our loved ones?
Sure, sure, I sure will. So here he is again after winning the Levy invite in St. Charles, Illinois.
And what's the
Um,
name of your book, Jamie?
it's called Our Forever Ben, One Mom's Letters to Her Son in Spirit and His Poetic Replies. And we are working on our second one, which really outlines how to do this for yourself. And uh,
Nice.
you
You'll
know,
have to make sure I get a copy of that.
yes, make sure to get yourself a copy of that. And this one is so poetic and beautiful. So, as I said, after and by the way, I hope all of you are experiencing the ability now. Breathe into your lungs and just see if, with no effort, more air gets in. Your body listens with tapping. It's a way of communicating that's just so beautiful and so freeing.
It is a
So
beautiful
thank
way to
you.
communicate with our nervous system.
Yes. Yes. And I just as I did now, I teach it as part of what I do. So my job is not complete until everyone I work with knows how to do it in various different instances for themselves. So right after Ben died, I knew that he might not be here physically anymore. That little runner body of his wasn't here. But I also knew that perfect love that we felt for each other had not gone anywhere. It can't go anywhere. It was still with me. And of course, that totally coincides with the Buddhist and many other faith beliefs that we are born together with people that we love and we always will be and lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And so I just knew he was still there. So I thought, I'm just going to write him and this is our first letter together. And I wrote, Dear Ben, soaring above us all, free and flying, you got your way. You ended your torturous road. You are released. You are released. And now you will have all of us chanting for you as your mission continues right here, right now, forever. I will cry until I run out of tears. And I cry in gratitude that you came to me. We shared those 22 years. We had all those laughs, all those tears, and all those laughs. My heart will always be full. Oh, Ben, write through me, laugh through me, live your happiness all around me. My dear boy, I know you never meant to hurt me. Not ever. Ben, maybe you're sitting right next to me on this Friday, right here by the pool. What do you have to say? your loving mom. And he wrote, Mom, I did it. I meant to do it at the time. And I knew it would make you sad, but somehow I still had to do it. I had to obey my mind, my legs, my feet, my incredible surge of strength and courage. I could not say no, it had to happen. And this story is not yet written, is not yet told, but will be. My life and death have meaning, not had. Dearest mom, my closest friend, my absolute love, don't despair. I know you will create a life of meaning, of love, of warmth, and creativity. Together, we will live on. Together, we will always live on. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy this day. Enjoy your life. Your forever Ben.
Hmm. That's sweet. Thank you for sharing that, Jamie. If we want to do something like that, what do you suggest we do? What's your process for opening up that channel to automatic writing and communicating with Ben and having him communicate back?
I think it's through the process of learning EFT tapping, because as you tap, you gain even more of a closeness, because the emotions of the grief, of the regret, especially where suicide is concerned, when you can break through that, you're a clearer channel for allowing the words to come through. So that's why my program, not my program, but that's why what I teach is the methods to have that happen. And you can just try it if you'd like to,
Mm.
and see what happens. But if you're finding that you're not hearing that voice, which is what I hear his voice and I just keep writing. Please, reach out to me by email or text. And I can help you through that. If it's your desire, you can have it.
Mm. Nice. You mentioned it helps you, also release that shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I
Oh my
know
God.
when our loved
Oh,
ones pass away, and it can
uh,
continue for years, going on 2 years, and still sometimes I
when
wake.
my mother died, I had to make a decision to allow her to die. And this was before I knew about tapping. And I woke up in the middle of the night over and over and over again. Like, oh my God, did I kill her? Was it the right decision? And then once I started tapping, and learned this process, I was able to release that. Oh my God, it was torturous. I was able to release that torture from my body. And I worked on it, I concentrate on it. And, it's very important to work with a tapping professional. And I do too. I do too. I have my own tapping professionals that I work with, because they really gently help you in uncovering and releasing. Both your intuitions work together, both your empathic qualities, both your healing works together. Um, did I answer that for you? Was
um that you have, I believe, to sum up what you said, you have relieved your suffering with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas
Yes,
through
yes, yes.
tapping, not
And,
only
and
with yourself, but with a trained professional as well.
and here's how you revisit the specific moments, either through matrix re-imprinting, where you're envisioning yourself as a separate person going through that. Matrix is one of my favorite modalities that I use, where you return to the scene, but you don't embody the emotion. Or
You go to the scene, you don't embody the emotion, and that's called matrix.
Matrix re-imprinting. It's so cool. It's like time travel healing. It's enormously fun. And what you do, you can go into the future and see your future serene, successful, happy self. And um, I do this with my clients, where then you look at your body and note if your body is having some reaction to seeing yourself as you want to be. Then you tap on those sensations in your body so you can get closer to your true vision of yourself.
Ooh, I love
And
that, because blocks can show up as, that
yes.
physical, energetic surge in the body. Like when you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to start this business. And then you start picturing, and your body goes, oh, wait, there's tightness
Exactly.
in my stomach, or, oh, my chest feels heavy right now, or the expansion seems too much, or you have a belief system come up. So
Oh, it's so
definitely, I
true.
appreciate
I
that.
said, me being here today and talking to you about these things is the result of being able to look at my future self, feel the, oh my God, I can't talk to people about these things. What's their reaction going to be? Am I brave enough to say that I have an ongoing relationship to my son and really use it to help people? And here I am enjoying every minute of it. And that is the result of this type of tapping. But the shoulda, woulda, couldas, I want to return to them again because they're so important. There's the aspect, and I have certification in grief companioning, and I did further work in the whole area of grief. And slow down for a second. I get so excited about this because it's so important. The idea of there's the grieving of the person that you were with them. There's the grieving of the times that you can't share with them that are. And then there's these shoulda, woulda, couldas.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is take each one of these shoulda, woulda, couldas and go into that memory through tapping with a professional. This is really best not done on your own. And you are able to lift those shoulda, woulda, couldas. And I'll tell you something that you'll love also, and that's that communicating with Ben, you know, I this was a couple of years ago, where I wrote to him and I'm like, oh, Ben, if only I hadn't blah, 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 blah. That same stuff, right? And he wrote me back immediately and he said, Mom, I thought we finished that. Like, how many times do I have to tell you? No, don't hold that. It's not yours. This was all meant to happen exactly as it did. And look at us now. And how can you not feel relief?
Mm.
Like, I haven't had a shoulda, woulda, coulda with Ben since then.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'm so glad that tapping has been able to help you in such a profound way, and that you're bringing tapping to others on their healing journey too. And thank you for bringing it to our listeners. Jamie, something came to mind when you were talking, because you were going through like the different phases, or the different components of loss. And I think there's also a component of, who are you without this person?
What's your identity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who are you without this person?
Could you talk a little bit about that in your healing journey after the loss
Sure.
of your son and your mother?
Well, as it, I think you said something about this earlier, but there, there's this whole identity. I was Ben's mom. I mean, the whole town. I was also Aaron's mom, and I'm very proud of my son, who is a physician in Portland, and we're very close, and I adore him, and I'm so grateful to have his friendship and his love. Um, and with Ben, Yes, I was Ben's mom. Aaron was Ben's brother. And the loss of that, like, who am I now? I'm a public speaker. So in the year following, and I'm a motivational speaker about the power of our words to change our lives and how to become how to become happy. And I leaned into that after Ben died. But I had to discover who I was, and who I was had a purpose to help others.
Mhm.
We also founded Ben's Memorial Mile, which has raised $150,000 for schizophrenia brain research
Wow.
and for suicide prevention, and actually the National Alliance of Mental Illness, which was helpful to me. They couldn't solve the problem, but they offered me some solace when I was going through those years of trying to keep him alive. Um, so finding that self, I really feel came out of, first of all, the determination to do it. And anyone who's listening to this right now, you may be feeling, and I know it's a human thing to feel like your pain somehow still connects you to them. And I invite anyone who feels that way to consider that your joy can also connect you to them, and that you really can be free of this pain and live a life of joy alongside them and alongside everyone.
Because as you were saying earlier, life does go on after loss. And
Yeah,
how are we going to show up? How are we going to process that loss? And what are we going to turn that into?
exactly. And a life of joy, even after, for me, that was the worst possible thing I could have ever imagined. Lifetime upon lifetime would have been that, that a life of joy is possible. And it starts with a decision that you make, that you say, okay, I'm ready to live a life of joy, and then reach out, whether it's to me or Liz or someone that you feel can help you. Um, just do it. It's so worth it, and you're worth it.
Yes. And they want us
Yeah.
to have a happy life after they're gone.
Yes.
Want us
Yes.
to continue on.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben's messages. He's my biggest cheerleader. He's like, Mom, you can do this. You can reach out to people. You can be on podcasts. I mean, I'm confident in my ability to help people heal, but it's the word and the message that is like, okay, I can do it.
I remember a while back, mom sent me a message. I would wake up with a song in my head, and it was, I'm your biggest fan. And it was
I,
just that little snippet of the song. Yeah. So I fully believe that. Yeah.
yes.
Jamie, thank you so much. What is a jewel of wisdom that you would share with our audience today before we come to an end today?
It starts with you. It starts with your determination. I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to find the means to do it. And actually, you wouldn't be here listening to the podcast if you didn't already have that determination. So, bravo, brava for that. And there is no death. I know it's a it's a brave statement to make, but there is no death. There is non-physical and there is physical.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm,
that love, it's always there. Tapping into that love can be your greatest source of strength and
yes.
happiness. And if I can help, makes me happier than anything in the world.
Beautiful, Jamie. And so true. That love continues on. Our life continues on. And I'll tell you, I would not be doing what I'm doing today, Jamie, as we were talking before the show, without that deep desire to move on from difficulty, to succeed in my life, to heal in my life, and be the personal development geek that I am today and always have been, and doing this show if it wasn't for that, desire. And I love sharing that desire with all of my listeners too. And Jamie, thank you so much for helping me, share with my community. I really appreciate you and your time. Can you share with our audience how people can reach you and what you offer?
Sure, sure. You can reach me and I will hop on a Zoom call and answer any of your questions about my 3-month silver lining program for relief and happiness after loss. And it can be actually any loss as well. I've helped people with accidents or divorce or things that are life changing get their lives back. And my email is FOR happiness, TAP for happiness at gmail.com. And my website is tapforhappiness.com. And my if you reach out to me, I will get right back to you. And we can converse over email, and then we can meet very quickly after that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you for joining us. And everybody, reach out to Jamie, tapforhappiness.com. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, Jamie. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for being who you are and for having your light shine so bright and allowing others to shine their lights. That's a gift.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, I'm Liz Peterson. This is Raise the Vibe with Liz. And you can find me on my website and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Raise the Vibe with Liz and raisethevibewithliz.com. Thanks, everybody. And remember to get out there and raise the vibe. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.